Good evening, it is Thursday the 2nd of January. It's 7:15 and I just thought I'd go out for a couple of hours. I've got a couple of hours spare. Can't see there being much happening, to be honest, but with it being freezing ice cold, it's like it's -1 already. I thought, you know, people might be a bit more likely to be jumping in Ubers, so I'll keep you posted, and I'm sure it's going to be in an hour and on the hour tonight. Yeah, I'll probably only be out for a couple of hours. I'm not going to be using a supercharger or anything. I'm with me having to use the heater and stuff like that. You know, the max I get is kind of like 4 or 5 hours anyway. So yeah, I'll keep you posted shortly. So, a little hourly update. First job, I was on my way in towards Ormskirk and drove past the job, which was 3.74 for just over 1 mile, so it wasn't too bad. Got into Ormskirk, it was completely dead, it was like a ghost town. So headed towards Southport. As I got into Southport, I got a 4.78 for 2.7 miles. As soon as I dropped them off, I picked a group of, I think, like carers up. They all seemed to finish work at about 8 o'clock. So that was 3.75 for 1.3 miles. And then when she got in, she said, do you know what time we'll get to the train station? Because my train is due at 8:07. And I said, it says we're going to get there for 8:07. Yeah, so as we go down, she's the barriers had come down, and she's basically had to get out and run across. So no idea if she made it or not. Straight after that, led on to another job, 3.77, and that was 1.9 miles. Which then led on to another job, which was 3.95 for 1.3 miles. I've just pulled over to give you a quick little update. So yeah, first hour, I'm on £19.99. So yeah, no, not too bad considering it's a it's a Tuesday night, to be honest. Yeah, so I'll see what the next hour brings. So, final update, just got home. Yeah, apologies, I haven't been able to give you an update. Last update was 20:08. It's now basically 20:11. It's been busy, to be honest, for a Thursday night. It's not what I expected. So after the last update, I had an XL, £5.47 for 0.8 of a mile. This one was at Asda. So I turned up, I could see like, I don't know, half a dozen kids knocking about, a mum and a dad. So I was round the back because they were loading the shopping in. You're trying to do like a little bit of a head count if you have an XL, because people will go, you know, more people normally jump in the back than what you've got seats for. So anyway, load the shopping in, the kids and that are climbing in, I get in, turn round, and the mum and dad's kind of stood there a bit puzzled, and they were like, there's only 6 seats. I was like, yeah, that's right. I said, it's an XL. And she was like, but there's 7 of us. I was like, all right. I said, well, you're not going to fit. And she was like, well, there should be more seats. I said, no. I said, an XL, you know, like guarantees you at least 6 seats. She was like, no, there's no mention of that on the app. She said, I've been using Uber, and we always book an XL because there's 7 of us. Obviously, there's 5 kids and the 2 adults. She said, the last time we've booked XLs, a Mercedes Vito has always turned up. And I said, yeah. I said, well, unfortunately, that's just pot luck. I said, because it only needs to have 6 seats to be classed as an XL. So it's basically, that's just pot luck. So she didn't seem too happy about it. So anyway, her husband was like, well, I'll just walk, because it was, you know, 0.8 of a mile. So they get in, we drive off, and then she was asking, she was like, well, if I book an XL, then how do I know if we're going to fit in it or not? And I said, well, you don't, to be honest. And I said, unless the type of vehicle pops up and you look at it and you know every vehicle and how many seats is in that vehicle. I said, but even then, I said, you can get this particular vehicle that can carry 7 passengers, but it depends on the seat configuration. I can have like 6 in the back and 1 in the front, but the one I've gone for is the conference style in the back with the table, so there's 5 in the back and 1 in the front. I said, so there's no way of knowing. I said, it's just pot luck. I said, like, they've started doing the double XL. I said, but I think that's only like in Liverpool and Manchester. I said, so, you know, you can book an XL and roll the dice like you have been doing. or you're just gonna have to start booking two Uber X's. So anyway, she was all right in the end, but initially she was a bit fired up because she's basically saying, well, this should be bigger. And it's like, well, it shouldn't be. Like, you need to read the app correctly. I then went on to an X, including a £2 tip, was £6.60 for 1.4 miles. Customer cancelled. A £5.58 for 2.2 miles. All these jobs were all just in Southport. £3.69 for 1.1 miles. Some of these jobs were literally as I was driving past them. To be honest, I've been quite lucky with them. It is right place at the right time. There's been a hell of a lot of jobs that have been popping up which were miles away. Like when I was on my way into Southport, bearing in mind I'd just been to the likes of Ormskirk and it was completely dead, they were offering me jobs to drive like 8 miles back to Ormskirk to do a 1 mile job or a 2 mile job, new for like £10 or like £1 a mile. But they kept popping up, and I'm thinking, I've just been there and you were offering me nothing. And then they were offering me jobs in Formby again. They wanted me to drive like 8-9 miles to do like a 3 mile job for a tenner, so it was less than £1 a mile, and they kept popping up. And then it was popping up Southport, popping up Formby, popping up Ormskirk, Formby, Ormskirk, Formby. And I was like, no, I'm nearly at Southport now. And then I pull into Southport and it's all like surging, and I'm like, so if it's surging here, why are you trying to get me to drive nearly 10 miles away? Honestly, the app makes no sense. They need to take a look at it, and it needs to be like reconfigured or something. We then done a £4.22 for 1.7 miles. A £3.70 for 1.2 miles. And then got a job at the Vincent's Hotel. It's like a hotel and a nice restaurant. It's like one of the nicest ones really in Southport. So I'll pull up there to an XL. It was about £5.70 or something, this job. So I'm sat there, the 3 minutes elapses, it goes into the charging time. So I'm looking over, it looks quite quiet in there, like the restaurant kind of thing. And then a message comes up to say, I'll be out in a minute. So I was like, right, okay. So I'm looking through into like the lobby, and then like I see like a woman, while she's on the phone, she kind of like clocks me. So it was obviously her. So she kind of like looks over, she looks at her phone, looks back at me. And then she just stands there talking to some woman as she's like being, charged for those like 2 minutes. And I'm thinking, if this gets to 5 minutes, I'm 100% going to cancel it. So I'm just sitting there, it's getting closer, gets to 5 minutes, bang, cancel, take the money and drive off. And I got paid £5.75 for the job, for the cancellation fee. I think the cancellation fee was more than what the job was. So I'm thinking, like, firstly, why book an Uber if you're nowhere near ready to leave? I just don't get it. And then 2, why message them to say I'm going to be a minute? And then 3, why come out and stand there and look at the driver? It's just so rude. So I'm glad she was charged. And now she's going to have to go and book another. She's not going to get another XL in Southport, at nearly 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. I can guarantee you that. So now it's going to cost her double the amount because she's going to have to book 2 X's. After that, I got a £3.74 for 1.7 miles. I then got a £7.07 for 1.9 miles. A £6.24 for 1.8 miles. A £5.28 for 1.5 miles. Customer cancelled. I then got a £6.68 for 2.9. I think this was like a Birkdale job, yeah. So I picked a lady up with her daughter, and she was doing that usual thing where she'd said to her mate, or the 2 people she was out with, oh, come on, do you just want to jump in? We'll drop you off on Liverpool Road, because we were going down Liverpool Road. I'd already seen it on the map. And the guy said to her, oh no, you can't do that, it's Uber, you're going to have to book another stop. And she was like, no, it'll be alright, just jump in. And he was like, no, it won't be. So she was like, alright, okay. So anyway, they got in, and she went, oh, I was just telling my friend then, like, to come, because he was just going to jump out on Liverpool Road. And I said, well, the thing is, I said, it's kind of down to the driver's discretion. I said, if it's me, I don't mind stopping if it's on the route and I don't have to deviate from the route. I said, but the drivers are within the right to refuse that. I said, because basically you need to pay more for that stop and the drivers are missing out on money. And it kind of goes against Uber, because Uber's basically saying, if you're stopping it needs to be down on the app. Whereas I see it as, if I'm driving down that road, I'm going to stop a couple of times anyway for traffic lights, for zebra crossings, or for whatever. I said, so for, to stop for 2 seconds while someone jumps out and makes their own way to carry on, I don't really see a problem in that. I don't mind doing it. I have a problem when people say, oh, I'll jump out on the way, and I'm like, right, okay. And then we come up to a roundabout and they go, oh yeah, go left here, driver. I go, no. I say, I'll drop you off here if you want, but I'm carrying straight on. And then sometimes they're like, oh yeah, that's great, thanks a lot for that. And then other times they're like huffing and puffing. And then that's why drivers don't like doing it, because you're doing them a favour because you're stopping and you shouldn't be. And then that's the kind of attitude that you get from them. So she was saying that she booked an Uber the other day or something. She's only kind of like newish to Uber. It was her, a daughter, and I think a relative, and they were on the way to hers. And she said, I was trying to explain to the Uber driver, she said he couldn't really understand English, that we wanted to make an additional stop to drop her relative off. And she said like because of the language barrier, she wasn't able to like communicate that. And she didn't realise she basically could go on and add an additional stop. She was asking, could she deviate from the route or something, or stop? Obviously the driver was saying, no, this is where we're going. So she was messing around with the app, and she wasn't too far from the destination. So she was saying like, how about if I cancel this job and rebook it? She was thinking it works like that, and obviously it doesn't. It'll be assigned another Uber driver. So she said I accidentally clicked cancel to then rebook it, going to her relatives and then carrying on to hers. She said, and then the driver just like lost his rag. She said he pulled over and opened the doors and said, right, get out. She said like, you've cancelled the job. And she was like, so I can see both sides of the story, like the driver seen it as they're trying to pull a fast one, cancel on a job when he's nearly there. But then at the same time, like, there's many a times where I'll turn around and I'm explaining to people how the Uber app works, because they're like, can I add another stop? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I've got no idea how you do that. So before we set off, or if I'm driving, I'll pull over and I'll explain it to them. But then some people can't do that, so they end up passing me the phone. But I'm showing them showing them the phone and saying, look, you just click here, you add the address in, type the address in, getting them to understand the app so they know how to use it. Makes everybody's life easier going forward. But anyway, this driver, she said like, he was like, really like angry and everything. He opened the doors and said, no, get out, you've cancelled it and all that. So she was trying to say to him, look, I'll pay you, I'm not trying to get out of paying. I'll rebook it now. I'm not sure how to use the app. And he was like, no, you've cancelled it, get out. He wasn't bothered because he'd been paid at that point. So I think her relative was like, oh, I'm not bothered, I'm getting out because I only live over here anyway. So he just like started walking off. And then she said, well, you can't leave me here with my daughter, she said, because we're like a mile or two away from the house. So in the end, she was like, she said, I got my purse out and I was giving him a tenner, saying, look, I'll give you a tenner, I just want to be dropped off at my house. So in the end, the Uber driver's taken the £10 off her and went and dropped her off in her house. So I said, well, he's obviously wrong for doing that, because that's applying for hire, and he needs to be doing that through the app. I said, I understand why he was annoyed because he stopped because you cancelled it, but I would have at least said, rebook it, and if you get me, that's great, we'll carry on the journey. But I wouldn't carry on a journey if someone had cancelled it. I said, so I understand that. I said, but on the same thing, he shouldn't be taking cash. I said, he's taking money off you to go and drop you off, which if you would have booked that through Uber for another mile or so, probably would cost you like £3, if that. I said, so one, he's charged you well more than he should have, and two, he shouldn't be charging you anyway, he's not allowed to do that. So she was like, all right. So kind of both parties were in the wrong to a degree. And then she said, oh, my dad is actually a Silver Star driver, I forgot what they're called, they're based in Southport, like Hackneys. She said he started doing that when he was young, he's been doing it like 26 years or something. She said he's just recently moved over to Uber, and he said, oh, it's the best thing they've ever done. And she said, she had said to me, yeah, you have benefits of like, people aren't going to get out and run away because it's all pre-booked. She said, that's what I said to my dad. And my dad said to me, Well, I've been driving them Hackneys for 26 years and I've never had anybody get out and run away from me. So I was like, I don't know how true that is, or even she turned around and said you must be like the luckiest, taxi driver ever for that not to happen to you. But obviously you don't have that with Uber. And I said, like, it's things like I like about Uber, that's what I like. And also like the amount of jobs that I get where I turn up and then the passenger doesn't turn up. I said, so at least I'm getting like that one before, I still got £5.75 for the job. I said, whereas if you work, if you're a Hackney or you work for a local firm, you don't get any of that. You just turn up, no one turns up, that's your loss, it's your time. So that's again one of the bonuses of working for Uber. And then the last job I done was an XL, £7.70 for 1.4 miles. They were quite annoying them. So it was a group, like a youngish group, they're going out to a bar, and one of them was kind of bragging that they got a taxi, an Uber, sorry, in York, and it was on Halloween, and he said it was right at the start of the shift or something. He said, like, I'd downed a bottle of Jack Daniels, I'd had 3 cheeseburgers, I got in, he was in a minibus, he said, and he felt a bit rough. He was telling one of the girls he was with, and the Uber driver turned around to him and said, if you're going to be sick, let me know. And he was like, no, I'm fine. He said, and then 2 minutes into the journey, he projectile vomited. He was sat in the back, but it's gone over the front, and it's all gone down his vents and everything, all big chunks. And he sat in the back explaining the story to his mate, and he was laughing his head off. He was like, oh, I should have seen it. It was everywhere. The guy must have sold his car after I'd done that. He said, the driver was going mad, and he was like, that's took me off the road now and all that. He said, I got charged £100 for that and everything. He said, we had to get out, because obviously he cancelled the journey. He said it already cost him 70 quid for the journey, so they got kicked out halfway. Then he was fined, then he had to pay the £100 to Uber for the clean-up, and then he had to rebook another Uber. And they were all like kind of like laughing, and the girl was laughing because he was like, this is the jacket I had on, I had to wash it in the shower. He was all like, all laughing and all that. And I just said out, I don't think it's that funny, to be honest. You could hear a pin drop. And he was like, oh, what do you mean? I said, well, he's got a family, hasn't he, to feed and everything. I said, I've had arseholes throw up in the back of here, and they've told me that they felt fine. I said, it's then cost me £190 to have it cleaned. I said, and they only got billed £100 just like you. I said, so I was £90 out of pocket. I was then off the road for 2 days. I said, I've got a wife and kids. I need to support. I said, and there's people like you throwing up in the back and finding it funny. I said, like, there's sick bags. You could have said, can I have a sick bag, or can I pull over to throw up or something? And he was like, honestly, it completely killed the mood. But I love doing that. I love turning around and like twisting the story around back at them, so they then realised like what arseholes they were being. Basically, it's like people who were sitting there laughing over like a racist joke or something. You're like, I don't find it funny. And it's no different from that. They're all laughing, or I've thrown up in the taxi. Not like, oh, do you know what, I had a bad night, I threw up, I felt that bad for the driver. He was laughing his head off. He was having the time of his life. He thought it was hilarious. And, no thought to the driver. He's only just started the shift on Halloween. He's going to go out and smash it and make all this money. And this top hat has thrown up everywhere. And now he's bragging about it. I was on the verge of thinking, when he gets out, you'll leave him a 1 star, just to rub it in. But I thought, can't be bothered getting involved with it. But yeah, it just goes to show, like, these clowns are out there. I've had it happen twice to me now where someone's thrown up. So, yeah. What else was there? I think that was about it, to be honest. Yeah, so I finished on. When I click on it, it's not coming off. I was thinking about it. Why is it only showing up as? Sorry, 1 second. This app's going dead slow for some reason. Finished on £91.71, and I've done 4 hours. Came out at 7:15 till 11:15, so it's just shy of £23 an hour, which, to be fair, is good for a Thursday night. I've been out on Friday nights and made around that, so yeah, it was more than I was expecting. The only reason I've come home is because in this type of weather, when I've got the heater going on and off, I'm getting like around 4 hours, if not just a little bit more, out of my battery. So normally whilst it's been cold on a Friday and Saturday night, I'll do me 4 hours. I'll come on at maybe like 6, get to about 10 o'clock, and then I'll jump on a rapid charger, and then I'll go out and do like another 4 hours or so. But obviously on a Thursday